Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever time of day it is. And this reaches you. Welcome to AstroLunaChick's Guide to the Universe. I am Susan, aka AstroLunaChick, and I'm here to talk about what the hell is going on in Aries and what is up with Venus. Thanks for joining me. Today is December 19th. It's a Monday. It's a one day. And as you know, or may not know, I count the numerology of the day and factor that into how the energy is building. And we're at a one, so that's a beginning. Yay. And what else is going on? I hope everybody's doing well. I love this time of year. We're getting up on Capricorn season, and I'm not biased, but I am biased. I am kind of biased. We're going into Capricorn, so there we go. We've got Venus in Capricorn, Mercury in Capricorn, Pluto in Capricorn. He's been in for a long time, so he doesn't get a whole lot of love because he's been tearing shit up. But Venus and Mercury, whatever sign they're in, it's the sign that's really being talked about, or that's getting a lot of love, or that's getting their pretty on. So you can always expect when Venus is in your sign that, you know, you might be making a little bit more effort to look good, or, you know, to pay attention to your style. And people may find you more attractive. So yeah, I'm loving that. We can use a little more love. So yeah, the sun is about to go into Capricorn. It's still in Sagittarius. No shade to Sagittarius. We love you too. And I'll share my screen in a minute, but I just want to kind of get centered and grounded here. That's a very Capricorn thing. Capricorn being an earth sign. We're very earthy people, very practical, very, you know, we don't really get into like the airy kind of pontifications, and we, you know, we like to see something real, something practical, like return on investment. We want to see something actual, physical, tangible, something that you can take to the bank for our efforts in life, no matter what it is. Yeah. Anyway, so today the moon is in Scorpio, another sign that I like very much. Scorpio is the natural sign of the eighth house, and the moon in Scorpio is very deep and mysterious and likes to investigate things. It's also got a stalker vibe, I'm not gonna lie, on the back, you know, on the unevolved Scorpio type energy. But what do we got going on here? So I'm going to share my screen so you can see what I am actually looking at here. And right now, moon in Scorpio. Oop, there it is. Yeah. Well, this is not actually the right now exactly chart, because I'm using the diurnal chart. And again, if you don't know, I work every day, almost every day, with a diurnal chart, and I highly recommend this if you are learning astrology and looking at it every day. What you do is you cast a chart for the time of your birth. So I got an 11:06 a.m. birth time here, and adjusting for daylight savings time. I've seen it done both ways. I don't know that there's a real consensus, but what I like to do is make sure that the sun is the same number of degrees from the midheaven that it was when I was born. Because if I adjusted this for the time, it would be different. So that way you're getting kind of the same angle. That makes sense. But anyway, whatever. So the moon is in Scorpio today. It is Monday again, a one day. Something is beginning. Considering the cycles within cycles, we are in a moon phase. There's something ramping up, but in the 1 through 9 numbering numerology that I do with the date, we're at a 1. Moon is in Scorpio, making sextile to Venus. So love, money, attraction, our values, the planet Venus, that's what that planet represents. So in the sign of Capricorn, what we want to attract, how we attract, what are our what we tend to find attractive, and the values boils down to Capricorn, very traditional values, integrity, long-term commitment, and things that have stood the test of time. And it's also very classic when it comes to style, like, very, very classic, very, it's like, I don't know, I think of Jones, New York suits for women. That's what I think of when you think of Capricorn, Venus. It's very classic. Maybe a little like pinstripe, like teeny tiny polka dots with stitching on the lapel. Oh God. All right, so the moon is making a harmonious aspect to Venus, so that is supportive. We are looking at relationship. We are looking at finances. We're looking at money when it comes to money management, budgets, being responsible. It's Capricorn, and Scorpio being a sign that represents shared resources. This could be people maybe wanting to look at their insurance policies, the shared resources of the family, the debts, because that's Scorpio, taxes. People are getting ready to file their taxes, getting brushed up on the new tax laws and getting documents in order. And that would be a great thing to do right now. And you're this moon, getting ready to do that. Scorpio favors research, so that's a very good thing. It's supportive. In terms of the Capricorn planets here and moving into Capricorn season, I think we're looking at governmental issues, government budgets. Scorpio does have to do with secrets and scandals, and Venus and Mercury are moving towards this Pluto here. So when we have Venus conjunct Mercury and Mercury stations to go retrograde, there's going to be some big to do. We'll get into that. But we might get a hint of it because Scorpio resonates to Pluto, and we're moving in that direction. And tomorrow, the moon is going to make a sextile to Pluto from Scorpio. So stuff could be coming up about, some things that have been hidden. This waning moon, when we're getting to the end, it's always like the last push and the last reveal, especially since we had the full moon in Gemini. Gemini is a sign of information and communication, and the moon was conjunct Mars, so very, very active, lots of information. Boom, that's when Twitter blew up with the Twitter files, and everybody that was following that was having their mind blown. Still going on. So there will be, that will be coming into play, because there was a lot that came up about social media and censorship and the government basically working behind the scenes and actually, so that's pretty much what we have going on Monday. Late in the day into the evening, the moon will conjunct the south node. Again, the south node is release. What's being released? A lot of Scorpio secrets, a lot of hidden things, things that were being investigated, that are being investigated, that will be coming out, information. Moon will, let's see, it's going to hit that same thing. And then we have a yod that it's triggering. Now, the yod is not exact, but it's ongoing, and it's between the south node at the apex and Mars sextiling Chiron. Chiron is wounding and people being hurt, people being taken advantage of. And Aries has a lot to do with personal freedom, and we're talking a lot about freedom of speech, right? So that's the Mars activating that. And in Gemini, communication, speech, right? So Chiron being in Aries, about the self, the individual. Aries is ruled by Mars. Mars is in Gemini. Gemini is ruled by Mercury, the mind and communications. And then the inconjunct is usually, the yod is the two sextile planets, and then their energy funneling into the apex, which happens to be the south node. So there will be things coming out. There will be more stuff coming out. Then you can also look at the south node as the past, and something from the past. And then this is the origin point, the south node, the past, the secrets, Scorpio stuff. And there's like a two-pronged attack, and it hits Chiron, which means hurts, right? Hurts the individual. And Mars, which pisses people off, you know, this is a lot of latent anger, things about the past, things that we've been festering about for a long time, things that were said in the past, things that were done in the past, Mars, actions. So it works both ways. I see the yod as working both ways. Most times when I hear it explained by other astrologers, they're talking about the two planets that are in sextile and then funneling into the apex, but why can't it work the opposite way, right? That's what I'm saying. Anyway, so this is Monday. There's something happening Monday into Tuesday. There's something, probably another Twitter files. You know, they're really actually really getting into the suppression of the COVID stuff. All the Rona fuckery. So even if you don't use Twitter, go check it out, find out what's going on, because so much fuckery. And Thank you, Scorpio South Node, for being the cosmic and spiritual enema that we all need. We all need it because we all need to face the truth, and we all need to do the deep soul psyche work. And the only way to do that is to have the truth and embrace the truth and work through the pain and the wounding and the anger and all of that stuff. So it's all good. Anyway, we're working with love, money, attraction. We're having a deep immersion when it comes to Moon and Scorpio. We are releasing. Really good time to do that sort of shadow work where stuff comes up and we can hopefully look at ourselves from a place of compassion, look at how far we've gone, how much we've healed. That's the Chiron part. Feeling the identity, who we are, and really letting go of the idea of needing acceptance from other people, validation to be who we are, and being definitely stronger and going deeper into who we are by releasing who we're not, releasing pain. Okay, so that's some really great Scorpio stuff we can do. I gotta take these off there. Let's get that going on. Yeah, so this Moon in Scorpio is also activating that solar eclipse point at 2 degrees of Scorpio. It's hitting the asteroids Narcissus and Radamanthus, Apophis, and Apollon, which is almost like the same thing as Apollon. I won't go into those, but if you're curious, you can look them up. And there is an ephemeris on Serenity.com. But just Google them. Radamanthus, Rada, RH, spelled with Manthus, and Narcissus. Self-explanatory, really, but it's interesting to go read the myths. So if you're so inclined. And getting into Tuesday, December 20th, we've got on this day, huge energy shift because Jupiter is going to Pisces on this day, on December 20th. The sun has not yet gone into Capricorn, but as it was at the last few degrees, as it is at the last few degrees of Sagittarius, it has been aligned with the Galactic Center, which is thought to be the birthplace of our own solar system. And when planets pass over this point at about 26 degrees of Sagittarius, it's like we are getting sort of downloads of higher truth. And I always feel like planets, as they pass over this degree, and the personal planets do every year, roughly around this time, I feel like they get an upgrade, just like we do. And I don't know that was, again, I don't know that was always the case, but it was something that I felt or intuited when we had Pluto go into Capricorn and then Saturn go into Capricorn. I remember feeling like, wow, the planets transform and ascend and evolve just the way we do, because what I started seeing was that the planets were functioning differently, as if they had matured and aged like a fine wine. Anyway, just my thoughts on the subject. So the moon waning, we are releasing, we are getting information. The moon on the 20th sextiles to Mercury, again, mind, communication. What are we talking about? What are we thinking about? Has a lot to do with Scorpio and delving deep into the psyche, looking at family ancestral patterns. Capricorn represents the father. Definitely a lot of talk about the government and people in positions of power and authority. And there is a shift in the balance of power and a shift of people in authority. There's some people leaving positions, whether it's a company or within the government, and good riddance to some of them. But I think where things have been more left leaning, the pendulum is starting to swing, especially with these aspects in Capricorn, and then the sun going into Capricorn. Capricorn favors more what we would consider to be conservative, sort of traditional values, I guess. More right leaning than left. No judgment. I don't care either way. I don't have a worse than anything. I am just sitting back and observing, happening, check your findings. So what else do we have going on the 20th? It's a 2-day. So the 1 day is about the individual. The 2-day is myself and the other person. Two aspects, two sides of ourselves, right brain, left brain, male, female, duality, my needs, your needs. Again, two people in this situation, two ideas, two parties, two ideologies, two options, twins. All right, so that's Tuesday. And the sun is also squaring to Saturn. So a blockage comes up. We may need to set a boundary. Saturn has to do with accountability, and it is Aquarius, so it is collective accountability. This could have to do with something to do with limitations and restrictions, but as it relates to technology or social media, can have to do with groups, networks, and associations in some way, shape, or form. But since we are talking about government and regulation, that could come into the conversation. But if it's on a personal level and this is affecting you, it could have to do with the groups, like friend groups, perhaps. It can have to do with its financial. There could be something about digital currency, which I have like marked down somewhere the date in March when they're supposed to be launching CBDC, central bank digital currency. So that should be interesting to watch. But the moon will make a trine aspect, supportive aspect to Juno in Pisces and Neptune in Pisces. So that can be very creative. That could be very highly psychic and intuitive because we're talking Scorpio and Pisces. There can be a revelation of deception when it comes to a partnership, whether it's marriage or the idea of partnership or this idealistic kind of image of what we want a partnership of marriage to be. That could be coming up. But there could be things. I mean, I always look at like things that happen in the news that reflect these kind of aspects. So there could be some sort of news about a high profile couple divorcing. I could see that. Earlier in the day, so this is looking at Eastern time, 11 a.m., but maybe a little earlier in the day, we would have had the moon opposing Uranus in Taurus. So that's kind of surprise, sudden shocking. And then the moon sextiling Mercury, it could be people divorcing or yeah, I mean, there's a lot having to do with money and shared resources here. So, dividing the spoils, I don't know, whatever it could be. But the square to Saturn could be a breach of confidentiality, perhaps. The Saturn wants to restrict sort of, wants to restrict Scorpio to delve into secrets. So I don't know, we'll see what comes up in that. Well, it's very interesting to me. I'll just check it up too. Interesting. Let's see how this is. So then the moon also later is going to make a sextile to Pluto. So Pluto is power. Pluto in Capricorn is like governmental or institutional power. It's also the destruction of government, because our government system is being dismantled. And there's a lot of things that, like skeletons in the closet, that have to come out, things that we need to know are going on, so that we as a people, a collective, can say, no, that's not good. We don't want that to happen, but we can't change what we're not aware of, right? Can't register our energetic vote, so to say. People think we don't have any power, but we really do. We absolutely do. Whenever I see something that I feel is not right, it's unfair, unjust, and if I can't personally change it, I register my vote. I cast my vote to what I feel is the council, right? The high council, whatever it is, the spiritual council, the cosmic council, whatever you want to call it. I believe there's a council sitting in judgment, observing, and I feel like that's God seeing through our eyes, right? And so if we see injustice, why not register it as, I'll put in my 2 cents, God, that's not right. I would like to see that rectified. Thank you. Thank you for working on my behalf. Right? Spiritual public servants. Our public servants are supposed to be working for us, right? You pay their salaries. All right, so Tuesday the 20th. Let me move a little bit faster here. So 21st. Oh, did I mention Jupiter? Jupiter in Aries. Whoop, whoop. That's going to lighten the mood a little bit. Even though when the sun goes into Capricorn, it is going to square Jupiter. But then it's like, game on. Get your Capricorn game on. But Jupiter in Aries is going to feel a lot lighter, because we need some fire. We definitely need some fire. And Jupiter brings justice and benefits and blessings and expansion. In Aries, it's the expansion of the individual, let's say. Well, I found, because Jupiter did retrograde and it went back into Pisces, but it was in Aries earlier in the year. And that was phenomenal. But what I really saw was like, you know, the whole like, I've got to be me. I want to be independent. I want to be a pioneer, a maverick. I saw a lot of personal lawsuits that were filed. Yeah. So anyway, I think, that's really going to uplift us and carry us through the holiday season. So that'll be really, really great. I just want to make sure that I'm not missing anything here. Yeah, so for those of you who want to know, Jupiter is going to go into Aries around 9:30, 10 a.m. On Tuesday, and that's Eastern time. So, I like to sit in the energy of the planet as it shifts and then see what I observe. Because I will tell you that a lot of people do say, well, what's the difference, Vedic versus Western astrology? Because I use Western, this is the tropical zodiac. And, a lot of people say, well, I can't be accurate because Vedics knew what they were doing and their degrees don't line up with the tropical zodiac, blah, blah, blah. I have done this where I have literally at the time when the easiest thing to do is the moon because it changes signs so quickly. But I have sat and observed and watched the energy shift, whether it was just a subtle thing of, wow, it feels like dead air, to all of a sudden the wind whips up and the car zooms by, or just suddenly, after I've been sitting there all day, like waiting for something to happen, and then all of a sudden, boom, like all these messages come in, phone calls, blah, blah, blah. So it does work. But I think it would be really interesting since we are sort of in that, I don't know, the Scorpio sort of tuning in to the psychic weather, if on the 20th we see what actually is shifting for us. Yeah, so anyway, there may be some kind of emotional stir. We may feel the burden of responsibility with the moon square to Saturn on the 20th. Something may come up where it's like, gotta handle that, or I thought I was moving forward, but there's an obstacle, a blockage, task, maybe Saturn. So anywho, that's the 20th. The 21st, solstice. The sun goes into Capricorn. I don't have the time written down, but it seems to me like it might be sometime in the afternoon. Hang on. I'll check it out. Hang on. Let's see when it goes. There we go. Right about 5 p.m. Eastern. So that's 2 p.m. on the West Coast. And again, the sun, a focus, soul energy is shifting from Sagittarius, a Jupiter ruled fire sign, into Capricorn, a Saturn ruled earth sign. And it is making a square to Jupiter. So, in a sense, I feel like the passing of the baton, so to speak, from Sagittarius to Capricorn, and being that Jupiter is in the mix and a square indicates friction, but action, they're action oriented, and a shift and a change in the psychic weather. So perhaps we have, with Jupiter and Aries, we have the inspiration to make changes, to level up, to, on the more Capricorn side, get down to business, get things done, look at the achievements, right? So still the waning moon. Emotionally, we are still releasing. The moon is in Sagittarius on the 21st. And now this is a 3-day, right? So 3 is me, you, and then the third thing that is created when we come together. It's the way I like to look at it. It's just building, so we're out of 3 and the 21st. Yeah, so the moon is actually making a trine aspect, a supportive aspect to Jupiter, bringing in a lot more buoyancy, feeling of abundance. Moon is making a trine to Chiron, probably feeling a lot better about ourselves, hopeful. There does feel like we're turning a corner, and there seems to be hope. There's a lot of positivity you can see with this. So again, I think the moon is out of bounds to the south, and that just means that emotionally we're able to possibly go more into the depths. So the moon will be out of bounds for starting on the 21st. It is out of bounds to the south, so it could be a little more inward, especially in the moon, very much more sort of inward focus, looking at the past. It's not necessarily expressed externally, per se. So, yeah, so we're in the dark of the moon on the 21st, and that feels really right for the solstice. It's kind of, solstice means sun standing still, so, I don't know, studies, but it means when the sun stands still, or it's, in between the darkening and the lightening in the length of the day and night, right? So it is a good time to sort of be still within ourselves. On the 21st, what else are we contemplating here? The moon, emotions in Sagittarius. Sagittarius really is, it's our beliefs and our perspectives, philosophies, but it's based on what we've learned. And it is a higher perspective based on the information that we've gotten. And the moon is going to oppose Mars. So all that stuff that's been going on with just the release of information, for one thing, about the past, and all of this stuff, all of these degrees here in Gemini, where Mars is going retrograde, that's where the North Node was all through like 2020, 2021, when there was a real stranglehold on information and people being able to express themselves, right? So Mars is like rewinding and unwinding all of those knots, tangles. It's untangling those things with the truth. The truth is setting us free. So, the dark moon, a lot of that could be just us really processing and putting our perspective and getting a handle on our emotions and feeling like we can heal now because we have the truth, right? What else is going on here? Moon is square to Vesta. Vesta, these are things that we are passionate about, that we're invested in, we're devoted to. In Pisces, you know, perhaps contemplating how we can devote more time to a spiritual practice. Vesta in Pisces, absolutely looking at our connection to the divine. So, looking at relationships, what we know, what we believe, what we've learned about ourselves and other people. That's pretty much it. So we got the 22nd coming up. That's Thursday. That's a 4 day. So whereas the 3 could be me, you, and someone else, third party. With the 4, it's more of a foundation that's being built, 4 walls, right? 4 wheels on a car. It's more stable, right? So Moon is still waning. It's around the last degrees of Sagittarius. It is going to square to Neptune, right? So bringing up again, perhaps in Sagittarius, it's the truth versus what is the illusion. Could be bringing up themes of marriage again because it's making a square to Juno. You know, it could be, are we going to make a commitment? Are there things coming up that we're realizing about partnership or our ideas of partnership? Or, you know, maybe we're coming to a place also where the other aspects are really supporting a maturity, a more realistic idea about marriage, partnership, whatever, bonding, partnering, even in a sense of business or who we collaborate with creatively. What is this idea? What is it that we feel we need? What is it that we feel we're bringing? And I saw something recently, someone had asked if we realize that all that tingling feeling and like that lovey-dovey, oh my God, like school kid feeling of crush, if that is not love, and that's more just infatuation, then what is love really feeling? You know, how do we identify love? How do we know when love is someone? Oh, just like that. And so the moon, you know, last degrees again, with the moon square to Neptune, there's not a whole lot of energy left there. It could just be feeling exhausted. I know when the sun last week was square to Neptune, there was, first of all, there was a lot of dreams. So this moon making a square to Neptune, again, dreams, but Jupiter's out of Pisces now. So that was definitely expanding dreams. But maybe we're starting to understand the message of our dreams, perhaps. Well, there could be dreams triggered. All depends on how it works with your chart. Mercury is starting to make a sextile with Neptune. So that's definitely great creative planning, imagining sort of an aspect, and envisioning the future. Definitely. All right, so that's Tuesday. I'm sorry, Thursday. What else am I gonna do? I'm really feeling like with the release through the dark moon, we're coming out of illusion and going more towards truth and getting a lot of information and having a lot of ideas and inspiration. Um, and also finding things out that change our belief systems, our philosophies on life, and definitely wanting to be more committed to understanding our own belief systems and maybe even getting back in touch with our spiritual practices and our roots, but in a new way, if that makes sense. All right, how are we doing on time? I don't even know what time I started. It's terrible. I can't do it. I try to be a little bit more less talky. Okay, so coming up to Friday, that's 5 day, 5's always change, and it's the 23rd, December 23rd, 2 and 3 is a 5. So this should be a big day of change. The moon is out of bounds, and it actually is going as far as 28 south in declination. 28 is pretty far out. That's about as far out as I've ever seen the moon get. And we have a new moon on this day. Also, Chiron goes direct. Chiron has been retrograde for most of this year. I forget when it went retrograde, but it was earlier this year. So for a good portion, a good chunk of this year, Chiron has been retrograde. So it's kind of gone over a lot of the stuff that we've been learning about healing journey and our identity, all those various things. So did I skip the 22nd? No. It's a Friday. New moon, new moon, new moon, new month, new me, new you. It's happening at 2 degrees of Capricorn. And oops, there we go. 2 degrees of Capricorn. It is making square to Jupiter in Aries. So whatever the theme of the new moon is going to be, you will see signs of it the day before. So on the 22nd, when, hang on, the 21st, sorry. The 21st, when you see the sun go into Capricorn and make that square to Jupiter, that's going to be our new moon theme. Start looking for clues at that time because the moon will square Jupiter, but it really does not activate until the moon meets the sun and we have the new moon cycle begin. So the new moon happens at 5:20 a.m. Eastern, so that's 2:20 p.m. a.m. 2:20 p.m. a.m. on the West Coast, and squares to Jupiter. Squares to Jupiter, since Jupiter is a benefic planet, a beneficial planet, it's seen more as excess rather than being negative. But squares do indicate action. So there is some action being taken. There is some kind of friction. So some kind of, if I were to make a suggestion of an intention, a way to look at this for one's own personal growth for example. I would say, let this be your declaration of independence and sovereignty, your own personal declaration of independence and sovereignty. And so mote it be, and let it be so. As you know, above, so below, to make a little rhyme. But maybe to make a commitment to yourself to achieve more, to be more abundant, more expansive, to learn more, to learn and grow and to understand who you are as an individual, and to come from that place rather than not knowing who we are and taking on the identity that is forced on us, let's say, by society or by family programming, whatever it is. Make a commitment to you on this day, to Capricorn things, to achievement. You know, Capricorn gets a bad rap too. Like, we're not all about work, but we are about achievement. You know, you don't have to work a job to get satisfaction out of achieving something, whether it's your own personal work and your own personal evolution, working on your own, you know, personal growth, let's say, or let's say whatever your challenges are, right? Working past those, getting past certain things, and overcoming obstacles, that's an achievement. So start looking at what goals you can set, right? What achievements you have already made, and appreciate yourself for those, and you know, take the win. But also looking at the future. Where do you want to go? Because the goat keeps climbing higher. The goat climbs the mountain. It keeps going regardless. And it hangs on. Have you ever seen those pictures of goats hanging on the side of the mountain? Oh my God. Sometimes I feel like that. But yeah, always aiming higher. Higher and higher. What else we got? Yeah, there could be a little bit of conflict of the inner self with the outer presentation in some way. Maybe even looking at yourself and feeling where you might be, what do they call that? Imposter syndrome. Feeling like the way you present yourself isn't necessarily who you are, even though, you know, fake it till you make it, that kind of thing. So there could be a little self-deprecating, or maybe there is a little bit of a incongruency between the soul self and the ego self. Like, here we know we are deep down inside and what we're striving to be, as opposed to in conflict with our ego and what we're working on, where we're at with that. You know, you might feel a little dissatisfied, but it's a call to action. It's a call to expansion, and definitely not to remain stagnant with that. What else? As far as asteroids, I'm not going to go into the asteroids, but if you want to look them up, the new moon asteroids I would look at. Look up Ixion. Ixion. Ixion and the Wheel of Tartarus. That's the myth. Ixion is spelled Ixion. Then that's at 3 degrees of Capricorn. Then we've got Cupido, which is this Cupido that I'm referencing at 5 degrees of Capricorn. Cupid, but this has to do with, there's two Cupids, but this particular Cupid asteroid has to do with like flirty love, crushy love, that kind of thing. And so you can look up the myth of Cupido. We've got Karma at 6 degrees of Capricorn. At 7, we have Phallus. That's a Pholus. And Quaoar, which is Quaoar. And you can look those up. I'm going to go into them today. But these degrees are important. 3, 5, 6, and 7 Capricorn. Because the sun, first the moon, after the new moon, the waxing moon goes over these degrees. So again, see what you're picking up. We can make this a little science experiment, and you can comment on the video to see what you're noticing. I love feedback. I love audience participation. So join in the fun. But first the moon and then the sun will be going over these degrees. So the sun is going to go over Ixion, Cupido, Karma, Phallus, and Quaoar. So maybe I'll talk about those in another episode. Oh, maybe I won't. See how I feel. So that's Friday. Moon's out of bounds. Chiron's going direct. Anytime a planet or an asteroid or anything goes retrograde, the stations to go retrograde or stations to go direct, highly impactful. Usually events, we're made aware of what's been going on with that planet and what the story has been. In retrograde, Chiron has been more the internal processes. So something's going to come up to challenge it, or show you how much you've grown, possibly. What else we got going on here? So in Capricorn, we have Venus. Excuse me. I might have actually missed Venus trying to Uranus, which was the day before on the 22nd. So definitely some surprises when it comes to love and finance and women, beauty, attraction, style. Uranus, technology. Who knows? I hope they're coming out with some kind of like new social media platform, new devices, perhaps a new type of phone. I love Apple, but I think Apple's jumped the shark. I think they're due for something new. Just a thought, not a prediction. Could happen in Aquarius season. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. But yeah, sorry I missed that. December 22nd. And 23rd, Mercury sextile to Neptune. I talked about that. Juno is at 22. Pisces moving towards a conjunction with Neptune. So that's a dissolving of a partnership. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Somebody's getting divorced because there's all this talk about like shared resources, joint finances, long-term commitments. I'm going to say somebody getting divorced, dissolution of a marriage, and stuff coming out that you just didn't know. Like Pisces does hide things, but it also dissolves things, and that's Neptune. So there's some dissolving of a partnership. There's something having to do with finances. So I wonder if we're talking about like government and budgets and all the blah, blah, blah that goes on around this year. Oh, we don't approve the budget. There won't be money to fund anything, which I think we did actually have that happen and go into January, and we wouldn't be surprised because of this pile up in Capricorn, because of the Mars retrograde, because of the coming Mercury retrograde, and we are in the shadow. So it could be that they don't agree on things regarding the budget. Yeah, that's possible. All right, so the 23rd, we've got, yeah, that Sun square to Jupiter also. Jupiter represents law, so it does represent lawmakers, and the Sun in general, everyday worldly astrology, mundane astrology, mundane not being boring, just meaning the astrology of like the collective, the world, events. The Sun represents leaders, so leaders and lawmakers. So there is a focus there on that, definitely. So that's the 23rd. That's Friday. Just trying to see if there's any other. I really love talking about these asteroids. So I'm just going to go down the list. I'm not even going to give you the degrees. I'm just going to say that the moon is going to pass over them the 23rd, the 24th, because these are important in Capricorn for what's coming up. And Venus and Mercury are going over them. These are personal planets. These are the conversations that we're having, the information we're sharing, the financial stuff, the relationship. With the moon in there, we're talking about the emotions and the public. The moon represents the public in the astrology. So, okay, so some of the asteroids, come on, go to Serena, and you can find out where they are. You can see this going. All right, so Terpsichore, it's one of the muses, and she represents dance. Clotho, one of the fates, one of the three Moriari fates, Clotho, spelled with a K-L. Magdalena, again, we're talking about, these are asteroids that Venus, the moon, and Mercury are going to be passing over. If you want the exact degrees, go to serenu.com. Arakoth, Hylanine, Aron, Aureus, Amethyst. Pluto is there at the end. Asclepius is there right at the end. And Icarus. A lot of heavy hitters and very interesting archetypes and mythology with those asteroids. So for the curious, go and research. If I have time, I will make just a specific video on them, on the asteroids, and talk a little bit more about those things. So what else do I see here? Seeing a lot of Kundalini energy being stirred. I want to make a video on this because there are planetary correlations and aspects that have to do with Kundalini. And I'll just say that Saturn and Uranus are two of the planets that are very, very much indicative of the Kundalini energy. So when we're having certain transits to Pluto and Uranus, Saturn and Uranus, and it's interesting because if you look at the two planets, they almost look like the regulation and modulation of energy. Uranus being energy and electricity, electromagnetics, and Saturn being sort of a damper, what would you call that? Like a throttle? I don't know if that's exactly it, but like something that would slow things down. And everyone has Kundalini energy. So the earth also has Kundalini energy. So as these telluric energies on the planet get activated, we also see transits of the planets that correlate to that. And because we have an electromagnetic system in our body with our chakras and all of that, we're affected by it. And then there's our own birth chart and the aspects that these planets are having to our birth chart, and the timed release of Kundalini energy in our bodies, because that energy, as it moves up the spine, activates certain chakras, and the chakras relate to certain issues that we have to work through. And if those chakras are blocked as the energy rises up the spine, we can have physical problems, we can have problems in like relationships, issues with work and resources, all that kind of stuff. So I'm not going to go into it. This is just something that I've been seeing with different aspects that are happening right now. And it got me to thinking about how the Saturn Uranus square that's been going on and off, and now it's pretty much dissipating, but how this was really sort of a surge and then a slowdown of this energy coursing, and it would push us to make changes. It would inspire us and electrify us. And then we would have this sort of pushback, a dampening, an obstacle. So it's that sort of interplay of back and forth, that the growth and then the slowing down. Just all very interesting. So I'm seeing that sort of energy, and in the sense that it's sort of fusion, right? What was that article that I passed by? I didn't even get to read it, and that's something I really didn't even get into, about the discovery of the first fusion reaction, whatever. I'm not a science person, not really, but it made me think about Kundalini and how the physical integrating with the spiritual, and how we're working through our psychological and emotional responses, being able to, let's say, handle more current in the body. I think we often don't realize that as it relates to astrology, the planets have an electromagnetic effect upon the earth and us, right? So at times when we are getting more energy surging through us, if our, let's say, our electrical systems are not up to date, or our belief systems are antiquated, or we haven't really done the shadow work, we can have a blowout, we can have a fuse blow, right? Literally or figuratively. So it's all just very interesting. That is all tied in together. And so I think also some of the things that we might want to be looking at as we wind down the year and as we enter Capricorn season and the new moon, people just looking at our spiritual practices, because Capricorn being an earth sign, it does represent aging too. Capricorn and Saturn is the passage of time, aging. And if we are able to carry certain practices throughout our life, spiritual practices, caring for our health, that kind of thing, we're not going to age as badly as other people. You're going to age more gracefully. You're going to have more chi, more vitality. So perhaps looking at practices, whether it's breath work, meditation, technology, binaural beats, whatever it is, I think this can be really beneficial at this time to get more information, become more knowledgeable about these practices, or maybe we are knowledgeable about it, but we just haven't applied it, right? Capricorn needs to apply the wisdom and knowledge that is gained, put it to use, right? So yeah, I mean, I'm just seeing like we're burning through blockages right now that have to do with the heart and the throat chakras. I'm really feeling that strongly. A lot is coming through our dreams. You know, we might be having more physical sensations just because Capricorn, earth sign, physical, and the aspects that it's having, the planets going through Capricorn, having to Uranus being in an earth sign, it's more the subtle energy currents as they run through the body and picking up on that. So you could notice more physical sensations. What else? Yeah, relational patterns coming up. Definitely dealing with the past. Capricorn is definitely a sign that deals with the past. Looking at the past, seeing the patterns, learning from mistakes, being able to envision a different future that doesn't include the same kind of difficulties that we had before. I think if we could do some energy work on ourselves, breath work, understanding whatever the issue is and relate it to a chakra, let's say, and as you're working the energy through your body, we could do a lot with the South Node in Scorpio, and releasing a lot of like stuck energy patterns in the root chakra. Anyway, aging more gracefully. It is said that Capricorn's aging reverse, and I think that's true. I think that is true, and I think that it's because we're born old and we get younger as we get older because we're not quite so serious anymore. We learn to have fun, we learn to relax. And so, Capricorn does like to have fun. I mean, think about the goats frolicking. Think about Pan gallivanting through the forest. And yeah, Capricorn, capricious is a Capricorn role. So let's see. So that's into the 24th. Moon in Capricorn. Let's see, the 24th is a 6th day. We have, so the moon passing over Venus, Mercury, It's a waxing moon, so things are building, things are growing. It can have a weightiness to it, a feeling of gravity, because the moon in Capricorn really does, it's very practical and realistic, and it does take into account what the responsibilities are. And so there could be maybe facing the future and feeling sort of melancholy about it. Moon Capricorn can be a little melancholy. You know, that's what I think. Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh, yeah. You know, I do think that Mercury here, maybe in the trine, I mean, sextile to Neptune, can be stirring up the dreams for sure. And then Venus going through there, you might really actually be dreaming dreaming about people from the past, maybe even dreaming of your future partner, since Juno is right there, coming up on Neptune. I would say calling in your soulmate. If you were to set intentions with this waxing moon, it's not a bad thing, right? Leveling up, doing some Capricorn leveling up in the relationship department. More love, more joy. All right, so then we get to Sunday. That's the 25th. Moon is still out of bounds, by the way. So the emotional stuff is kind of off the charts, although Moon being out of bounds to the south in degrees definition tends to be more internal, contemplating the past. You know, could be running into people from the past too. This could be people from the past hooking up for sure. All right, what else we got going on? So on the 25th, oh yeah, Christmas Eve was the 24th. The 25th, Christmas Day. We've got the moon in Aquarius. Cool Aquarius. Squaring the nodes. So that's emotionally turning a corner. And the moon will make a sextile to Jupiter and a sextile to Chiron. Pretty uplifting, pretty healing. Aquarius moon, pretty detached. It's making a trine aspect to Mars in Gemini. So a detached and aloof Aquarius moon, if you're having discussions about things, it's not a bad aspect to have at all. It's definitely good for being sort of analytical, just air sign. Aquarius is highly scientific, so it's really looking at things from more of an analytical sort of perspective. The moon's going to square Uranus, so that's a big bump of energy. Uranus rules Aquarius, so we're talking about groups, associations, friends, future, technology, energy, electricity, electromagnetics. Here. Great day for energy medicine, healing with the moon sextile. And squaring the nodes, definitely. This would be a great day to run energy through your body and expel excess energy. So bringing in fresh energy and expelling the dead energy. Those of you who work with orgonite, well, you know, and understand orgone energy, will understand what I mean by this. So that's Christmas. Sounds pretty electric. And yes, it's kind of Christmas. Yeah, you know, you might hear from friends from the past. Aquarius is friends, Mars, communication, action, in reverse. That's the past. Things look pretty good. Should be somebody, you know, people that were happy to be around. It looks pretty sociable. I don't see any weirdness, except there's always weirdness. What's the weirdness? Mercury is slowing down. Venus is about to meet Mercury in Capricorn. So there is something regarding relationships and business and communications and news coming out that we are made aware of, and responsibilities and how to move forward. But they're both moving towards Pluto, and Mercury is going to go back in retrograde. So whatever's going on during this time, while Mercury is going through these degrees, expect these things to come back up again. Whether it's something that you're reminded of, or it's something that you're doing that you might have to like review during Mercury retrograde, that could be happening. Alrighty, what else is going on? So that's Sunday, the 25th. That's a 7-day in numerology. And the sun that day is conjunct Cupido. Cupido. Cupido in Capricorn. What is that? That's like if Cupid is the way we flirt and approach people, maybe it's somebody flirting that you work with. Maybe it's somebody flirting, but in a really like sort of traditional old-fashioned way, like saying, "Kiss me under the mistletoe." I don't know. Is that weird? Whatever. I'm just trying to see, just trying to figure out what that could possibly be, how that might play out. Oh, my gosh, with the sun conjunct to Cupid, is your boss flirting with you? Do you have a thing for the boss? Or are you the boss and someone has a thing for you? His power is really attractive. With, with Venus and Capricorn, Venus definitely likes power and status. So that's an interesting thing. Or it could be, you know, just like somebody who's like super attracted to your boss energy. They just can't get enough. What else is going on? The moon is waxing. I did say that, right? I think that's pretty much it. I'm going to end it there because that's Sunday. And you know, I haven't been very consistent. I haven't been able to really keep up with what I need to do, when I need to do it as far as recording, but I'm getting there, and that's my goal for Capricorn season, is to be consistent and to be reliable and to be on the top of my game. I'm a super Capricorn, so I'm here to be super Capricorn. Yeah, so I hope everybody is having a wonderful solstice, a happy Pongal, a Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, and a joyous Festivus for the rest of us. Right? Woohoo! Capricorn season. I'm happy about it. I love my birthday time of year. We talk. Okay, so yeah, I guess that's it. That's all I wanted to talk about. I mean, I have lots of notes here, but I think that's pretty much all I want to talk about. Right. Mm. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. If you are listening to me on eTalk, thank you for being here. If you are on YouTube, please subscribe and like the videos. I appreciate that. Say hi in the comments, leave your feedback. Are you observing anything correlating to what I just described? Um, I throw it out there what I think could be going on, but there's a lot of ways that the energy plays out. So it's all different. And so, yeah, so YouTube, please subscribe. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, a Facebook page, AstroLunaChick everywhere. And if you're interested in a reading, um, I'm having a holiday special. Yeah, that's right, a holiday special. It's $25 off my normal fee, and it makes a great holiday gift. What do you get for the person who has everything? Or gift it to yourself. And if you're interested in booking a reading, the best way to do that would be to email me at astrolunachick@gmail.com, and I'll send you my booking information. Again, you can find me on YouTube, etalk.tv, social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Twitter is fun again. So come follow me and chit chat and see my crazy tweets. No, I do. I like to tweet about astrology. When I find something in the news that demonstrates the aspects we're having, I will call attention to that because I think it's a really great way to learn and to demonstrate how the energy is playing in. Anywho, thanks for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed. Little podcast here. Oh yeah, listen on Spotify. I keep forgetting. I don't even think that I uploaded my last show to Spotify. I'm such a bad girl. But I'm gonna try to be better in Capricorn. There we go. All right, peeps. Have a good one. Have an awesome solstice. Catch you soon. Ciao. Ciao for now.